So welcome to TET class. This is the fourth live session on the TET Child Development and Pedagogy. So in this live session, we are going to explain about pedagogical concerns. So in this live session, we are going to do a detailed discussion on pedagogical concerns. So we am sharing my screen. Let's not waste much time, and I'm sharing my screen, and let's get into the class. So pedagogical concerns. So we are doing a very detailed discussion on pedagogical concerns in this live session. So from this, almost 20% MCQs are expected in the CDP part. This is one of the important sections, basically in the CDP child development and pedagogy. So do if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are going to provide the top 150 important questions also for every section like CDP, Telugu, English, social studies for all these subjects. We are even going to provide mock series, mock tests also. So this is going to be a very useful YouTube channel for everyone. So do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So now let's start the class. So pedagogical concerns. So this is a third unit in the CDP part of the TGTET syllabus. It bridges the gap between psychological theory and actual classroom practice. So pedagogical concerns is something that actually bridges the gap between psychological theory application and actual classroom application and practice. So exploring the how of teaching. So this is the basic concept of this chapter, from inclusive education and instructional theory to assessment and policy. All the details we are going to discuss in this live session. So now let's start teaching, learning, and the learner. Let's understand the core concept and the relationship between teaching, learning, and the learner. Let's understand these terms first. So the core relationship. Teaching is the facilitation. So teaching is nothing but it's a facilitation, and learning is the process basically. The learner is the active participant here. Effective teaching only occurs when it results in meaningful learning. So effective teaching will be successful only if the learning is meaningful. So teaching is the facilitation. Learning, it's a process, and learner is the active participant. Effective teaching only occurs when it results in meaningful learning. So teaching is a facilitation and learning is a process. These are the two important terms. And contextualization. A learner cannot be separated from their socio-political and cultural context. So a learner as a person, he can't be separated from their socio-political and cultural context. So these are inclusive basically. Their background, language, tradition, and community directly impact like how they interpret and internalize information. So for a learner, the learner's background, language, tradition, and community, all these factors have direct impact on the way how they interpret and internalize the information. So this is one important point. An MCQ is expected on this particular concept, like contextualization in terms of teaching, learning, and the learner. Now, inclusive education, CWSN. So children with special needs, CWSN means children with special needs. So focuses on providing equitable opportunities for children with physical, sensory, or cognitive impairments. So children with special needs, they always need equitable opportunities in terms of physical, sensory, or cognitive impairments, ensuring no child is left behind. So a child is a child, whether he is a normal child or a child with special needs. A child is always a child. Equal opportunities should be ensured even to the children with CWSN, children with special needs. So so that no child will be left behind. And inclusive education. What is an inclusive education basically? The philosophy of teaching all children together in the same classroom. So all children should be taught in the same classroom. They should not be segregated in terms of caste, color, creed, language, gender, etc. Education has to be inclusive, and all students have to be taught together in the same classroom, regardless of their strength or weaknesses, by actively removing barriers to learning. So whether the student is an active learner or whether the student is a passive learner. So the basic thing is that inclusive education has to be ensured to all the students. There should not be any barriers with respect to learning basically. Now pedagogic methods. So what are the different methods of pedagogy? Modern pedagogy shifts from passive listening to active engagement. So in modern pedagogy, there is more importance to active engagement. rather than passive listening. Some of the key approaches like inquiry based learning starts with a question or problem. Student discover answers through investigation. So learning is a process which starts with a question basically, and student is someone who discovers the answers through investigation here in inquiry based pedagogic method. And project based method. So what is a project based method basically? Student work over an extended period to produce a final product or solution. So in this project based method, student work with a deadline to find out a solution basically. And cooperative and collaborative method, learning through peer interaction and shared group responsibility comes under cooperative and collaborative method. And activity based learning by doing hands-on experience at the center of instruction. So through activity based method, a child learns with experience basically. He practically applies the concept and he learns with experience basically. So this is the concept of activity based method. So these are the four important pedagogic methods: inquiry based method, project based method, cooperative and collaborative method, and activity based method. Now heterogeneous groups and paradigms of learning. So what are different heterogeneous groups and paradigms of learning? So organizing heterogeneous classrooms. So classrooms are diverse basically. So classrooms always have to be diverse in ability, interest, and background. Some key challenges include different student habits and self-learning. So in a classroom, the classroom has to be inclusive, but we need to make sure that every child has a different study habit and self-learning skills. So some strategies include fostering learning to learn skills and using flexible grouping to accommodate different socio-economic and ability levels. So students have always to be grouped. So basically, they have to be taught in such a way that we should keep their study habits and self-learning skills in consideration, because every student has different study habits and different self-learning skills. So this is one important thing that we should remember when it comes to classroom teaching. So three paradigms, heterogeneous groups and paradigms of learning. So the three paradigms: teacher centric, sage on the stage. So teacher is always considered as a sage on the stage. The focus is more on discipline and content delivery. So teacher centric paradigm is something where teacher is considered as a sage on the stage. The more focus is on content delivery and discipline in the classroom. So subject centric, focus strictly on textbook and syllabus completion. So subject centric approach is something where the teacher will not go beyond textbook. The major focus is all about syllabus completion only. And learner centric, student at the center, teaching adapts to needs, interest, and pace. So in learner centric approach, student is the main center point. Student is always at the center stage, and the teaching is adapted in such a way that the needs, interest, and pace of students are considered accordingly. So teacher centric approach is more about discipline and content delivery. Subject centric approach is just about completing the syllabus, and learner centric approach is something where students needs, interest, and pace are considered. Now, Jeremy Berners theory of instruction. Any subject can be taught effectively in some intellectually honest form to any child at any stage of development. According to Jeremy Bernard, any subject can be taught to student. Just that the effective and intellectual way of explanation is needed. So any subject can be taught to student effectively in any stage of development. So there are three stages of development here: inactive, learning through action and physical objects; iconic, learning through images and icons; and symbolic, learning through abstract symbols, language, and maths. So there are three concepts here in Jeremy Berners theory of instruction: inactive, iconic, and symbolic. These are the three important instructions of teaching according to Jeremy Bernard, and an MCQ is expected on this. And spiral curriculum, revisit basic ideas repeatedly, building upon them until the student has grasped the full form apparatus. So in symbolic approach, the student will learn everything to symbols, basically abstract symbols, language, and mathematics. In iconic learning, the more emphasis is on images and icons. So an image is shown and icons are shown, and the concept is explained. And inactive, learning through action and physical objects. Now teaching as a planned activity. So what is the planned activity in the teaching here? Pre-active, plan objectives and select methods. So objective is will be pre-planned and methods will be pre-planned in pre-active stage. In interactive stage, students are engaged through questions and explanation. So interactive stage is something where students engage in questioning and explanation. Post-active stage is something where evaluation happens. Evaluation, feedback, and reflection happens in post-active stage. So pre-active, interactive, and post-active. These are the three stages in the teaching, as three stages when it comes to teaching as a planned activity. A good teacher is someone who is empathetic, flexible, and a core learner, not merely on authority figure. So teacher is someone who is empathetic, flexible, and a good listener. Basically, that a teacher has to understand the students here. So that's the important thing here. Now, learning resources. So what are the different learning resources? Meaningful learning happens beyond the textbook. So textbook is not only the source of learning. There are other sources of learning as well. Educators should tap into rich ecosystem. There are different resources: home and community, local traditions, basically elders and domestic activities provide authentic, culturally rooted learning experience. So here, home and community plays a very important role when it comes to learning resources. So there are local traditions, elders at the home, they tell stories also to students. So through these stories that children listen from elders, they get to know about the traditions, they get to learn about the culture, authenticity, and it's a very deep rooted learning basically. So home and community is very important. It's a very interesting concept. And then play is essential for social and cognitive development. Play is not a break from learning, it is learning. Playing is always a learning. If a student is playing, it's a learning, it's not a break from the study. So it's a very important for social and cognitive development. Play is very important for social and cognitive development. And technology, ICT tools, educational videos, and interactive software extend learning beyond classroom walls. So technology is very important when it comes to learning, specifically in the 21st century, where ICT tools, educational videos, and interactive softwares are playing a very important role. These are like beyond classroom. These are going beyond classroom walls. And classroom management and child rights. Environment must be non-threatening to encourage risk-taking and open participation. A classroom environment is something which should always be non-threatening. So then only the children get encouraged and they openly participate in the classroom process. And then leadership styles. The classroom leadership style should always be democratic. Authoritative leadership style is not good for the classroom. It should be always democratic. And children rights, corporal punishment is strictly prohibited in the schools. Children have the right to protection, to be heard, and to dignity. Guidance and counseling. Through guidance and counseling, a teacher has to help students through navigate their personal and academic challenges. Is a core teacher responsibility. So these are the important pointers regarding to classroom management and child rights. And assessment and evaluation. So this from this one MCQ is definitely affected. They definitely from this one MCQ will definitely come in the TGTET exam. Formative assessment and summative assessment. So in formative assessment, it happens during the instruction to provide ongoing feedback and improve learning in the real time. So after covering a specific part of the syllabus, an assessment is conducted to students to understand how far they learned that concept and feedback, and this will also help in improve learning in real time. And summative assessment is something which happens at the end of the completion of syllabus or a term. This is to certify student performance. So what are the differences between formative assessment and summative assessment? Basically, in formative assessment, there is a scope to improve learning from the students, and there is a scope to improve students' knowledge based on the weak areas. But in summative assessment, it is more or less a certifying the student performance. So these are the key differences. And now continuous and comprehensive evaluation, regularity in assessment throughout the year. So there should be a regularity in conducting assessments. As per CCE, the assessment should happen throughout the year so that the teaching learning process goes effectively. And comprehensive covers both scholastic and co-scholastic areas, life skills, attitude, values, academics. It should be a combination of everything. CCE is something it should be which should be a combination of academic as well as life skills, attitude, and values approach. Now, NCF 2025 and RTE 2010. See, these are the important. This is again important for the CDP part. One MCQ, definitely one or two MCQs will be asked on either NCF or RTE or both. So NCF, National Curriculum Framework for 2005, majorly emphasized on connecting knowledge to life outside the school. So how the student life can be connected to the outside world, how the knowledge can be connected to the life outside the school. This is something that NCF 2005 always emphasized, and shifting learning away from rote methods. So rote methods should be completely shifted. Rote learning should be completely shifted to application based learning, practical approach based learning, and enriching curriculum for overall development. So curriculum has to be enriched for overall development of the students. And then RTE 2009, according to RTE 2009, free and compulsory education should be provided for the children between 6 to 14 years. There should be no detention policy up to elementary level. Mandatory 25% reservation for disadvantaged groups in private schools. Now, now we have discussed everything. So what all we discussed basically in this particular live session, we discussed about teaching and learning, then inclusive education, pedagogic methods, heterogeneous groups, Burners theory, learning resources, classroom managements, all these concepts are interconnected. So that's all about it. And some of the key takeaways: learner is very important. Learner should be very active over passive. Rights and inclusion are non-negotiable, and policy grounds and practice like NCF RTE 2099, it majorly anchors all the classroom decisions. So that's all about it. You can do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will soon come up with another live session where we are going to discuss practice questions as well. So do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay tuned to Srimata Education for more updates on Telangana TET exam and for more classes on Telangana TET. Thank you.